Do you like sloppy joes? Do you like macaroni? If you said yes to either or both of these questions, well, today's recipe video is right down your alley. I'm going to be making one of my favorite meal preps, which is a sloppy joes macaroni type recipe that's super easy, super quick and delicious, but great for fueling the athlete. So if this is of interest to you, keep on watching. Let's go. Hi, I'm Alex, a sports dietitian and nutrition coach. Welcome again to one of my recipe videos. But of course, before we get into today's recipe, remember, subscribe and ring that bell so you can stay in the loop with every video that I release. So from the intro, you would have known that, and obviously from the title of the video, that we're making like a sloppy joes macaroni and cheese mix. But it's not going to be like traditional sloppy joes, and it's not going to be really like macaroni and cheese, because it's going to be mostly the macaroni kind of going into the world of the sloppy joes.
Sloppy joes. I know how you kids like them sloppy.
Lady, you're scaring us.
So it's going to be kind of like a mix that I kind of felt like, I kind of just discovered it when I was thinking, like, what can I make? I'm kind of bored of what I was doing. And I just wanted to mix two things together. And I had some macaroni pasta there. I was thinking making like a sloppy joes mix. And I'm like, let's mix them together and see what we come up with. Mix them together, love the recipe, now I want to share it with you. It's a great recipe because it's got a lot of protein, a lot of carbs to really refuel you. So if you're an athlete trying to refuel and kind of have a meal that's going to really recover your muscles and recover your body post-workout, this is a great option for you. And if you're someone that just likes something that feels a bit more kind of like not a takeaway necessarily, but it feels more indulgent of a meal, like not a traditional kind of healthy meal, then this is a great option for you as well. So without further ado, with all this talking, let's get into the recipe and show you exactly how to make it. Okay, so this here are all the ingredients you'll need to make this recipe. So as you can see, we're going to be using some turkey mince. Okay, so you just grab some turkey mince. It's nice and lean, full of protein. Obviously, being a macaroni recipe, it's going to have macaroni. Okay, that's self-explanatory. Then we're going to obviously be using some vegetables. We're going to be using one small red capsicum, or if you're in the United States, one red pepper. We're going to be using one onion, 2 cloves of garlic, because garlic. I've got here some pepper. You can season it any way you want to. I'm not even going to use salt because of the use of the sauces, which you're going to add plenty of salt for my taste. But you can add more salt if you want. And we're using some Worcestershire sauce. We're going to be using some reduced sugar tomato sauce. Now you can use any of the ones you enjoy. You can just use normal tomato sauce. Doesn't really matter. And I'm just be using some of these French's yellow mustard. Okay, it's the one that I enjoy the most. It's nice and easy. It's going to add that flavor that we want. Okay, so that's the ingredients right there. Okay, that's the ingredients we're going to be using. So let's show you how to whip it up. Okay, so the first thing is we're going to set up our pans. Obviously, this is where we're going to be cooking our mixture. This is obviously where we're going to be cooking our macaroni. So the first thing we do is we're going to prep the macaroni so that does its job, does it in the background while we focus on the rest of the meal. Okay, so here we got 250 grams of dried macaroni. We're going to set that aside for now. Then we're obviously going to go grab some water. Here we go. Get the water on the boil, obviously. Okay, we're going to wait for that to boil. We're going to throw in the macaroni, let that do its job. But for now, let's do the rest of it. Okay, so now to prep the vegetables. So this is very simple. We're just going to be dicing this up, dicing that up, crushing this up, and then putting it into the meal. Simple. Okay, so first we're going to be doing the capsicum. Now I'm going to show you how I cut it. So this is like the technically the right way to cut it, but you can cut it each way. You can cut it like the normal kind of way, but this is how I do it. I cut off the end, cut off the other end, put that aside there. You're going to put just a line down like that. And now you just kind of work your knife around the inside until you've removed the inside. And then just chuck it away. Okay, so now we obviously take this part out as well. Okay, because we don't want to be eating this, won't be tasty. Chuck that away. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to dice this up, but I'm not going to show you that part because that's boring. From this to this. Now this to this. Finally, this to this. Let's get cooking. Okay, so as you can see, that's boiling up. The macaroni is cooking. So what we're going to do now is prepare this. Now, I did make a bit of a mistake. There was an extra ingredient. We're going to be using some extra virgin olive oil. So we'll just put about a tablespoon of that in. Okay. And then what we're going to do, we're going to place the meat to cook. So first of all, we're going to heat this up. So don't put the meat on yet, obviously. So just make it onto like a medium heat, okay, just to get that heating up. And then you'll just get the oil spread out there, and then we'll put the meat. I'll show you how to do it. Now, while we were waiting for this to heat up, this now is ready. Okay, I've tested the pasta. It's al dente, and that means it's ready for me. Okay, so we'll take it off here. And there we go. Okay, so I've drained it, put it back in the pot. Just make sure it sets on the side. So that way, when we cook that up, put it in there, and you're good to go. So now this is, I can feel it. Okay, I can feel the heat, and it's ready. Okay, this is ready to cook up. So we're going to do first, grab our meat. Take off the paper, obviously, if you don't want to be eating that. And now you just break this up, okay? Just break it up like that. Just wait for it just to cook a little bit more. And you're just going to be breaking it up, mixing it through, and I'm going to show you exactly what to do with the next ingredients. So the first thing we're going to put in is the onions, okay? So we're actually going to put the onions in pretty early. Okay, we're going to put the onions in early. Just mix that through. Now you can put the garlic in as well. Now if you wanted to, I'm not going to put it in just yet. I'm going to wait for this to cook a little bit more. And I'll put the garlic in a bit later, okay? Because I don't want the garlic to overcook. Okay? The thing when you notice is when you use meats like turkey mince or chicken mince, it's a bit more, what's the word, gluggy. I don't know, like the meat doesn't crumble up as easily at first, so you kind of wait for it to cook through because it's got a lot more moisture to it, okay? There's a lot more moisture content to this meat, so I'm just gonna wait for that to cook a bit more, mix it up, I'll show you what to do. So this first part of the recipe, it really is kind of the typical way to make sloppy joes. That's kind of what we're doing. Obviously the meat usually for sloppy joes is like beef. But obviously we're going for a lower calorie alternative. We're going for some turkey mince in this one. You can honestly make your recipes however which way you want, which way ingredients you want to use. So we're going to be using turkey mince, but this really is like the traditional way of making sloppy joes. At least, you know, this Aussie's interpretation of what I've seen from the recipes that I've learned over the years of how to make sloppy joes. So, you know, don't come at me in the comments if it's not exactly like how you would make it traditionally in the States. Okay. So we're just going to kind of mix it through, regularly mixing it through, and I think the word for it was crumbleization, okay? Keep up the crumbleization. We're going to wait a bit more for this, and then what we're going to do is going to put in the capsicum. So yeah, I just thought of this, just while I was kind of thinking of, trying to think of different meal preps to do. I do like sloppy joes, and I do like, you know, macaroni and cheese. Now this is not a traditional macaroni and cheese, as it's not a traditional sloppy joes. But I'll show you in the end, you know, alternatives that you can put into the meal to make it a bit more different. But I was like, wait, let's mix them up. Let's see what they would be like if I mixed it up. If I made like a sloppy joes with pasta in there, just see what it would be like. And I loved it. So hence why I'm making this video for you, to show you how to make it. So that's cooked enough for my liking to put this in. Obviously it's not cooked fully through, obviously. So I'm just going to put this through here. I'm going to mix that through. And then we're going to add some garlic. Okay, throw it all in, those two cloves. I'm just going to mix it through. And we're going to continue cooking this in the same way that we're cooking for the first part of the recipe. Just mixing it, crumbleizing it, make sure it cooks more through. And then we're going to be using the sauces. Now I did make another error. I did forget another another ingredient in this recipe, which is the tomato paste. Okay, so I add, you know, a tablespoon or so of tomato paste into the recipe as well, just to add a bit more rich flavor, or you can just use more tomato sauce. The way I do this is it adds some more flavor without having to use as much tomato sauce. You can do it whichever way you want. This is not the traditional way, obviously. Okay, so now this is pretty well cooked. Now is the time to put in the sauce. Okay, so I'm going to show you exactly how much of each one. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to add some Worcestershire sauce. Worcestershire sauce. Okay. Half the time I get the name right, half the time I get the name wrong. I might even be doing it wrong already. You can let me know in the comments. Okay, let me know in the comments if I'm saying it wrong. Okay, so we're going to be putting about 30 mils of this. Now, you just kind of estimate it. Kind of put it in like that and just keep testing it, doing what I call the reverse way. That's 20, set that to mils. 25, 27, 29. I'll go with 29, it's close enough, okay? Now we're going to be using the tomato sauce. I'm going to put about 100 mils of that in. Same thing, on, zero it out, do it, that's called the reverse way. It's a technique that I'm surprised more people don't know. Now when I bought this tomato sauce, there's something wrong with the lid, so I'm going to have to do this. Not my ideal way to do it because it doesn't control it as much, but it is what it is. A bit more. Oop. Please don't be too much. Nope. A little bit more needed, just a little bit more. That should be enough. Oh, that was hardly anything. How wrong was I? And I went a little bit over, doesn't matter. We'll just put less of this in. Okay, so now I'm going to put some tomato paste, some of this stuff here. I'll put about 1 tablespoon in. Okay, now time for the mustard. Okay, I'm going to turn down the heat for this just a little bit because it's going a bit too more rapid. About 2 teaspoons of the mustard. Make sure you shake it well. This I'm not even going to do where I'm just going to put it in. There, maybe a little bit more. I like a little bit more mustard in there. And I'm going to put some pepper in just because I like it with a bit of pepper. You don't have to add pepper. And of course, like I said, you can add salt as well if you would like. So now just mix that through. Now to get the traditional Sloppy Joe's flavor, you really need these two. Okay, you really need these two. Like I said, I'm just adding this for the sake of a richer flavor. I could be completely wrong, but I just found that I added a nice flavor without adding a lot more tomato sauce. So I can make this last longer. And the Worcestershire sauce is, I don't know if that's traditional, I don't know, but the recipe that I originally made for just normal Sloppy Joe's, it had that sauce in there as well, so it's probably adding some umami flavor to it. Oh, lost some meat there, put it back in. And we just kind of break it up, mix it through, and now what you're going to be doing is you're going to put this on like a medium to low heat, just so it starts cooking through. Now, it's got plenty of moisture for my liking already, but if you don't feel like it's got enough moisture, if you want to do it the traditional way, you put like about a half a cup or a cup of water in there, and then cook that through and reduce it. So what we're doing now is we're going to reduce this mixture, which is essentially a fancy way of saying we're going to be getting rid of the liquids and keeping all the flavor in it, or something like that. Okay, so I'm going to mix that through so it's nice and combined in all areas. I'm going to keep mixing it from time to time. Okay, we're not just going to leave it. I'm just going to wait until that reduces. I may or might not add more water. I'll see how it goes for the first couple of minutes. Okay, so I've decided to put in half a cup of water. As you can see, it adds a lot more liquid, obviously. And I'm just going to mix that through again. And now this is the final reducing stage. Okay, so now what we're going to do is put this on like a simmer. I mean, if you've got less time and you really want to go quicker, you can put it on a higher heat. You just got to watch it more. But because of the amount of liquid that's in it, you don't have to stress too much. So you can put it on a bit of a higher heat if you want. But technically, you put it onto a simmer. Just mix it through time to time and cook this for a period of time. Now that can vary. I'm not even going to tell you the time because that could be completely wrong. I go off by how it looks. I do the test where I go like this, and if there's liquid coming through, okay, so I'll show you from the other angle. Like that, and the liquid coming through, it's not ready. Once I do that, and you can see the pan nice and easy, I know it's ready. So that's the test that I do. You do whatever test you want. I'm going to do that. I'm going to let that reduce.
I'll be back.
A few moments later.
Okay, so I've got the camera there a bit closer. After a bit of time waiting for this to cook, I'm going to show you how it should look for this recipe. Keep in mind for traditional Sloppy Joes, you're putting it onto bread, like a bun. So it needs to be a bit more thick. For this, we're mixing it through macaroni. So having a little bit more liquid is not going to be an issue. Or sauce, really that's what we're getting it down. We're reducing it down to a sauce. And I'm going to show you exactly how it looks, okay? So you're going to go like that. So you're going to mix it through, make sure it's all uniform. And then all you do is, you can either do the test where you hold it, and then if it kind of holds some structure, then it's okay. But I don't use that. I do this. And see how it's slowly getting down? I'm happy with that. You can reduce it more if you want, but I'm happy with that. Because see, I can see the pan for at least a solid few seconds. I'm happy with that. So this now is ready to mix in with the macaroni. Okay, so put the macaroni down. Get this off the heat. Okay. Now you want to be gentle with this. I'm going to knock the camera. Let me just double check to make sure you can see. Yep, perfect. You want to be gentle with this. I have mocked this up before and it goes on the side and yeah, it's not fun. Not only do you lose some of your meaty mixture, it's a bit more of a cleanup. And I don't know about you, but me personally, I hate a cleanup. Okay. There we go. Perfection. Place that down. So what we'll do now, see it's in there. You kind of break it up, okay? Because the macaroni would have kind of just been resting there, cooling off. So what you do is you mix it through, break up the macaroni, as you can see. Oh, flick some macaroni, hopefully not at the screen. Just mix it through like that. Yeah, that's what you're looking for. And it's already smelling freaking good. So I can't wait for a taste test, even though I know what it tastes like already. And to tell you exactly what the calories are and the macros, because that's something you're interested in as an athlete, I'm sure. Okay, so that's nice and mixed in. Ready to go. Okay, we get our scale, put the bowl on, zero it out, obviously. And I'm going to scoop some of this in until we hit the mark that I'm going to show you. It's about 350. A little bit more, a little bit more. There we go. Done. Look at that. Steamy. Okay, so let's go. Okay, so here we go. I've been smelling this, waiting for it to cook, just so I can taste it. And here we go. Okay, I'm going to do the taste test. And then I'm going to tell you a bit more about different variations you can make for this recipe. And I'm going to obviously break down the calories and the protein, macros, all that sort of stuff. So, let's go. Honestly, one of my favorite meal preps right now, because it's just so easy and it's just something different to the traditional meal prep. I love that. I love that. Well, you didn't click the video to watch me eat. Okay, that's not what you did. So let's first break down the macros and the calories, and then I'll tell you some variations of this meal. So for that 350 bowl worth of this sloppy macaroni and cheese, or the way I call it is sloppy mac and turkey, just my name for it, is 55 calories. 55 calories. Wouldn't that be good if you could get that for 55 calories? No. 555 calories for that bowl. It'll give you 43 grams of protein, so a whole bunch of protein, 72 grams of carbohydrates, so a great refueling meal for, let's say, a post-workout or a post-game or something like that. And only about 7 or 8 grams of fat. Obviously, because we're using turkey, there's not much fat there. Most of the fat's coming from a little bit from the turkey and also the extra virgin olive oil. But overall, very low fat meal, high carb, high protein, and only 555 calories. So it's pretty stable as well. It's nothing extravagant, but it's not a low calorie meal either, technically, but it doesn't need to be. I've said it time and time again that life is not just about always making low calorie alternatives, especially as athletes. You want to be making sure you're fueling adequately and in the right way post-workout, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, this right here is 555 calories, 43 grams of protein. You can't go wrong with that. Now, in terms of different variations, being that it's kind of like a mix between sloppy joes and macaroni and cheese, you could kind of argue, why is there no cheese in it? But here's what I do. You could add the cheese while you're cooking it. I've done that before. But I like to actually be able to just add the cheese later on, because sometimes I don't want to add cheese to it. So I want to have the base ingredient, like the base meal. And then what I'll do is I'll add cheese and heat it through, and then that'll be able to be more of a macaroni and cheese. But I wasn't going for a macaroni and cheese recipe. I was going for something that's just a bit more carbohydrate focused and a bit more protein focused. And that's what this meal is for. That's why I didn't add the cheese in there. But you can add cheese, like a slice of cheese, and then when you're heating it up in the microwave, for leftovers, it will kind of melt through nicely, gives it an extra flavor. And honestly, cheese makes most things better. The other alternative is, you would have noticed I use red capsicum. Traditionally, green capsicum is used for sloppy joes. The reason being is I like the different flavor that the red capsicum gives, but the green capsicum does have more of a traditional sloppy joes flavor. Do with that what you will, okay? If you want a more traditional sloppy joes flavor, use the green capsicum. If you're happy to go for the red capsicum, reason being is it's the one that I eat for other meals as well, so just buying it's just easier so I can have more of it. But you can use whichever one you want. I just found that the red added a bit of a different flavor, so I liked it. That's what I went with, and that's kind of what I had in the house, so sue me, okay? So that's perfectly fine. Other than that, the rest of it, the other alternatives would just be really the seasonings you use, if you add different seasonings to yours, if you add a different sauce, and honestly, if you add a different meat, that's gonna be the biggest one. You can make this exact recipe with any minced meat out there. Okay, it can be veal, it can be pork, it can be beef, it can be lamb, it can be pork and veal, it can be chicken, it doesn't matter. Okay, you could even make this with a vegan or vegetarian type mince. It'll still work. Okay, that's the beauty of this recipe, is it works for a lot of different variations, but this is just the typical one that I use, the turkey-based version. And like I said, I want you to try it. Okay, I'm sure you're gonna love it, because it's a great thing to have just in the fridge when you're feeling hungry after a game or after a workout and you want something to refuel you, or just as a good dinner. Okay, put up your feet, put on a good movie or show, and eat some sloppy joes macaroni. Okay, so I hope you enjoy it. Give it a go. Try it out. Let me know how you think. But what I want you to know now is, let me know in the comments, what is your current biggest meal prep you've been making? Like kind of the most common thing you've been prepping. I want to hear what is kind of your favorite meal prep to do. Comment below and let me know. And remember, before you finish up today's video, do remember to subscribe so you can stay in the loop whenever I release a video like this. Any recipes or even educational videos, so you can really level up your nutrition. Hit the like button if this recipe made you hungry and you enjoyed what you saw. Stay classy. See you next time. Have a good one. Bye.